That sound means we're calling the Health and Human Services Committee of the Wayne County Commission to order. Good afternoon, everybody. Madam Clerk, what's first on the agenda?
Commissioner Marecki.
Here.
Commissioner Dobb.
Here.
Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Here.
Chair Colleen.
Present.
You have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next.
Approval of the November 26, 2019 meeting minutes.
Move approval.
Support.
Any additions, corrections, changes to the minutes? We have a motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All righty. We'll roll the agenda, Madam Clerk.
C, unfinished business.
All righty. Do we have any?
There is none.
All right, let's go past that. And before you introduce new business, the first two are receive and file items, and then in the addenda is a action item. So what is the first item, Madam Clerk?
Item 1, communication from Deputy Director of Department of Health, Human and Veteran Services forwarding a report on activities of the No Wrong Door Initiative.
Okay, who would like to join us for this item? Name and title for the record, please.
Nellie Lee, Director of Policy and Compliance, HHV.
Say the name again, please.
Nellie Lee,
Lee,
L-E-E. Policy and Compliance Director, HHVS.
good to have you, Ms. Lee. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I see that No Wrong Door wasn't exactly what we thought it was going to be, so if you'd like to update us on the No Wrong Door policy, please.
Yes, initially, the No Wrong Door Initiative was to allow our residents and clients to be able to reach more needed services. And that was exactly what it was when they contacted the county, and HHVS in particular, our staff was going to be able to point them to all the resources that they were looking for so that they can make some one-stop shop visit.
Right.
There was some technology platform that was envisioned, but due to the changes and the time constraints and our mission changes, the No Wrong Door Initiative has been placed on a hold. Rather, we are working with communications and executive communications as well to reach our residents more by traditional outreach and engagement.
So we didn't find that by doing this at every one of our locations, that we really significantly increased people availing themselves of all the services?
Correct. And each division, their mission is still to reach the residents, so they are doing their own outreach tailored to their division. So, you've been seeing that with veterans and the Wayne County Healthy Communities. They are, their outreach has been more successful that way.
Okay. Questions from committee members on our receive and file report. Commissioner Anderson?
It's not specifically on the report, but on the comments there that I'm wondering if the department for the different divisions would be amenable to an invitation by commissioners if they have coffee hours to maybe on a rotating basis, different directors or of those divisions to be able to explain some of the things and I think people would probably find that interesting.
Absolutely. I'm sure our division directors will be more than happy to talk about the programs that they lead.
And if maybe we could get an updated list of all those, who they are, and the contact information, and we'll reach out to them. I certainly will.
I'll be happy to send that along.
Thank you.
Could you send it to the clerk of the committee so other committee members will also receive it?
Yes.
And you only have to do it once.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Commissioner?
That's it.
Commissioner Baker McCormick?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, and what you just stated is basically that you're not going to move forward with the program, or?
That's correct. We're not
Okay.
moving forward with the No Wrong Door program, but we are not abandoning our mission to increase utilization, client outreach, resident outreach. Those remain very close missions that we want to accomplish, but just not through the No Wrong Door philosophy.
Okay, so is there something to replace this with, or have you thought out what the outreach will look like now?
We are working, each division of the department is working with our HHVS Communications Director and also with Executive Communications Team to do more of the outreach, so to speak. And there are outreach plans are in the works.
So would the outreach plans be individual departments, or would it be still the one-stop concept where there's one person or individual that, do you know?
I think
or-
it depends on, the program that we are promoting and how what groups we are targeting. Some programs or ideas may be division-specific, but there are many programs that reach across more than one division, and that's why we have one HHVS Communications Director who kind of will make sure that all the divisions who are involved is engaged, so we reach as much of an audience as possible.
Okay, so the new veterans services, I don't know what their title will be, but we're hiring a outreach person.
Yes, the outreach coordinator?
So would this be part of that? I mean, would their
Yes,
job?
that is absolutely,
kinda
that position absolutely fits within our outreach efforts. And they will be working with the Veteran Services Director as well as our Communications Director.
Okay, great, thank you.
I should also like to point out here that this was a department initiative. It wasn't like there was something that came to the commission with dollars and we had to approve it and allocate it for this. This was strictly an internal initiative that you undertook.
Yes, that's true.
When you look at your outreach efforts, I think to include into the outreach, the 15 commissioners that also have the ability to reach out. And so as you're planning for this, anything that needs to get out to a larger audience that you're doing, to include commissioners in that for the outreach so we can reach as many people as we can. So I'd kind of like to hear back on that, like, how we're going to do this.
Sure.
Including commissioners.
Thanks for the offer to help
Well,
us
I
reach
think,
a wider audience.
We happen to represent people of Wayne County and get the good information to them of what the government, it's a big mystery out there. What is Wayne County government? What does it do? And if you run for office, you hear that all the time. So to raise the awareness of county government and how it does affect people on a day-to-day basis is, I think, a good thing for everybody in the county.
Absolutely.
Any other questions on this? It is a receive and file item. What's the pleasure of the committee?
Move to receive and file.
Ooh, how about that? Yeah. Any further discussion on this item? Thank you for being here, Ms. Lee. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. 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 Opposed? Any abstentions for whatever reason? All right, thank you. Madam Clerk.
Item 2, communication from the Deputy Director of Department of Health, Human and Veteran Services, forwarding a report on activities of the Cooperative Extension Services Program.
All righty, and yes, sir. I see we have someone from Co-op Extension. Anybody from the department going to join you? Not that they have to. Name and title for the record, please, sir. Yeah, you hit it briefly, and the green light will come on. Just briefly. Is it?
Touch lightly.
There it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Guess it wasn't on.
It's like double clicking with your mouse.
Yeah,
Sometimes
okay.
it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, my name is Richard Wooten. I'm one of the district coordinators for District 11 for MSU Extension, and I specifically provide oversight to all extension programs in Wayne County.
And Carol Osterberry, Health Officer, and MSU Extension falls as part of the Public Health Division.
Yeah. And thank you for being here. Good to see you, Mr. Wooten. I had a brief conversation with Mr. Wooten. This is another receive and file, but maybe, not going into gory detail, but this is another program that the county funds, I think to the tune of somewhere around $600,000 a year, I believe. I could be wrong.
It's probably close to about 336,000. in
Yeah,
that
well,
range.
when I got to the commission, it was about $600,000 that we used to, 12 years ago, fund you with. But it's another hidden gem that we have in the county. And so I asked Mr. Wooten to briefly talk about some of the programs. So commissioners, there's a wide range of things that Co-op Extension does in servicing our citizens. So, Mr. Wooten, I guess I'll turn it over to you to tell us about your report.
Okay, just to give you an idea, I'll start with our overall reach on an annual basis. Consistently, we reach about 60,000 program contacts a year with extension programs. We have a total of about 38 staff that operate out of 2 different facilities. Our largest facility is actually located at Focus Hope. We've got about 30 staff that work out of that facility, and then we have 8 that work out of the Western Wayne Office Health Department. So with that staff, about 38 staff, we reach about 60,000 people a year with our programming.
If I can interrupt there, we contract with you as a county.
Yes, we operate under an intergovernmental agreement in IGA
Right.
that we renew every 3 years.
So certainly the budget for your office is not $300,000. You get a lot of support from Michigan State University.
Yeah, actually, I think the county support is probably closer to about 380, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Our total budget is about $3 million
Right.
that we
So-
run.
And that support comes from the university in the state of Michigan?
Yeah, well, it's a combination of investments from the state as well as federal funding for grants. So we have a combination of grant-supported staff. Perfect example is our nutrition staff. We've got 15 people that do nutrition education in the county. They do it on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program and the Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program. All of those people are grant-supported through federal dollars. So what we do is we take the dollars that the county provides us and we leverage those dollars. And then we're able to provide programs in all the different program areas that I'm about to talk about. So that's basically how we've operated. And the key is that because we have that base funding from the county, then we have the platform and the foundation to go out the funds to do these other activities. You guys provide us with some space that supports some of our office staff. You provide us with a base operating budget. You provide us with a support person, an administrative support person that allows us to operate in the counties. So that's basically how we operate. I do want to highlight, I provided a comparison report, and my understanding is that we will provide one of these every year. And this is useful. Let me point out that we will run 1 year behind if you've got questions about the dates. That's why we're doing 17 and 18. We won't have all of the numbers, the program numbers for 19 until the first quarter of 20. So we'll just run 1 year behind. That's the only way we can get good numbers. Unfortunately for our staff, we've got 4 different institutes. They have different reporting systems. And what happens at the end of the year, everybody has until the end of January of the following year to get all the numbers in. So we have some staff that are very good at putting them in on a regular basis. Then we have some staff that will dump them all in on January of the following year. So, but what we try to do is that once we get all the numbers in, we try to make sure we get all those numbers captured in the annual report. So you will still always get an annual report from us that will summarize all the programs and all the activities. And I do ask that if you ever have any questions about those, don't hesitate to give me a call. The commission has asked me to highlight some of the programs based on this report, so I'll just walk you through some of the key highlights. Again, our nutrition and physical activity program, we've got 15 staff in that program. They cover the entire county. But those educational programs are focused on limited income families. They're focused on school districts with free lunch. So there are income requirements related to that population that we serve. But what we say in terms of nutrition, if you've got a population that doesn't meet the requirements in terms of being a low-income population or low-income school or a free lunch school, but you still want to service them, don't hesitate to give us a call. Because our professional staff, our educators that run the programs, can get involved and help to provide any type of nutrition education to a population that doesn't meet that requirement. So we do have a way to try to address those issues as well. That's one of our largest programs that we have in the county. They reach more than 20,000 individuals a year. And you can imagine when you've got 15 people. But it's one of our most successful programs. And I love the stories that we get out of those programs when we work with some of the kids. Because we had this one kid who went through our program, and after he went through the nutrition program, and they talked about, eating better and being healthy and exercising, one of his relatives tried to give him some donuts. And he was saying, I can't eat this stuff. This is not good for me. So, we do like to hear those success stories because we know it's making a difference, because it's all about the impact. We're trying to teach adults, and we're especially trying to teach kids to develop good habits when they're young. So we hope those habits will carry them through the rest of their life. And that's the key about nutrition. If they can start early, they can really take advantage of it.
Commissioner Marecki?
Do you have like actual registered dietitians or certified people running this program?
We don't have a registered dietitian running it. We had one on staff, but she's no longer with us. We don't do food menus, and we don't do the more sophisticated stuff that registered dietitians do. We simply do basic nutrition education.
So where do they get their information from?
Most of the curricula we get through the university, or we get it through other universities. Because we're
So they're
MSU.
not just making up their own nutrition?
Oh, no, they're not. They have to follow a script. All of our education programs have to be research-based.
Okay.
So they've got to be researched, they've got to be tested, they've got to be used someplace. We have about 7 to 8 different curricula that we use, and all of the instructors are required to kind of stay within that format.
Okay.
We even asked that in the interview question. Don't
Oh,
go off
good,
script.
because some people think they're nutrition experts because they read something in Prevention Magazine or whatever. So
Facebook again.
being a registered dietitian, that's like up my
That's right.
irritation with some of that. So,
Yeah, no, we don't
good.
have the qualifications, just basic nutrition.
Thank you.
Home food preservation. We had a person in this position. She's no longer in this position. And when you look at our table when it does the comparisons, and I said in the narrative, when you see those program areas that have dropped, they've generally dropped because we've lost staff in those areas. Another example is the product center. We actually do small business counseling to people who want to start food-based businesses. And we will actually have that conversation with them. We'll do initial conversation with them. We'll walk them all the way through the process. We work with Eastern Market. They have a commercial kitchen. We can get them access into that commercial kitchen. We help them with labeling, product development, that whole process. The person in this position generally will work with about 300 clients per year in Wayne County alone. So we like that program. We've been excited about it. That program has been vacant, and we've been using a staff person from Oakland County to fill that need for that program because we have a strong demand for it. We've had some individuals that created some very successful business. We do get a lot of applications for salsas, though. People are really into salsas for some reason. So, and barbecue sauces. So we have a lot of people that want to develop those. We're in the process of hiring a new person for that position that will work exclusively for Wayne County. And we're excited about that because that's what we had before. And that person will be starting in January. So as we look at that particular line item, we're hoping those numbers will go up. And I mentioned that because the product center person works in collaboration with the food safety person. The food safety person, that position is vacant. We've been using another individual, Christine Venema from another county, to fill that need. But also, we do know that the county does some of the serve safe and food safety activities. So we don't feel as bad about that position being vacant right now. But what we were doing is we had a program where we combined nutrition and food safety, and we targeted some of the immigrant populations in Wayne County. And we had a special program that would teach nutrition and also food safety and create opportunities to get employment in the food industry. We even had a component of this program that actually targeted kids. And the idea was to get the kids Serve Safe certified so they could be more effective in finding part-time jobs. So I tell you these things, so if you have questions about them, you have populations that want to engage us in some of these things, again, don't hesitate to give me a call. Natural resources and outdoor education. We have a program called the Great Lakes Leadership Program. We work with about 10 or 15 different schools in Detroit, and we work with schools all over the region. This particular program is unique because the person in the position is actually funded through a partnership with MSU Extension and the Department of Natural Resources. And his responsibility, his name is Gary Williams, is to bring outdoor education activities to kids that normally wouldn't have it. And he probably reaches about 5,000 or 6,000 kids along in this area with his programming. And the Great Lakes Education Program is the program where we teach people the benefits about the lakes, and we actually take them out on a 60-foot boat. One of these days, I'm going to try to get Carol to go out on a boat. But we take them out on a 60-foot boat, and they have about 6 different workstations. And they work through those different workstations. They learn a lot of different things about the ecology of the river. They learn about plankton. They learn about all these cool things. And what we like about that program most for some of these kids, they've never been on a boat in their lives. So some of them are a little nervous. I went on the boat about 10 years ago, so it's been a while since I've been on the boat. But it's pretty exciting because it's about exposure. Because our biggest program is our 4-H program. We have about 22,000 kids that we touch every year with our 4-H program. And we talk about experiential learning, and it's about exposing kids to opportunities. And just being in this position for about 15, 16 years, what I get excited about the 4-H program, the reason I get excited about that is because when we have opportunities for adults to work with kids on an ongoing basis, we can see the changes in those kids in terms of some of those critical outcomes. We had a mentoring program that we ran in collaboration with the county for about 6 years. And we saw the difference that that program made for kids because they had somebody in their life on a regular basis. Our challenge with our 4-H program, even though we reach a lot of individuals, the greatest impact of those programs where we've got ongoing 4-H volunteers working with those kids. And it's going to be more difficult to recruit volunteers because of the issues working with kids and some of the things that have happened. Our process is going to be a little more stringent. I will just let you know that. We're going to a computer-based system for all of our volunteers. We're going to have to figure out a way to work those volunteers that are not computer literate. But that's kind of where we're headed with the volunteers. But if we've got good volunteers that are willing to work with kids on an ongoing basis, we see the greatest improvement in terms of the kids, in terms of public speaking, in terms of confidence, in terms of working with their peers and spending time with their peers, in terms of school performance. So that's where we see the biggest bang for our buck. So I say if you've got groups that want to do 4-H programming, if you can find us volunteers that we can get through the system, we can engage those populations. But we've got to have committed volunteers to make that system work. We do a lot of series programs. They're called SPIN programs, special interest programs. Those are ones that last about 4 to 6 weeks. And that's how we reach the majority of the kids in the county. But the kids we have the greatest impact on are those kids that are in those solid 4-H clubs where they're meeting with adults on a regular basis. And they're getting involved in a lot of different activities. Because one of the biggest things that we do, we take them to MSU for what we call Exploration Days in the summer. And they spend a couple of days on campus, and they're involved in all these different workshops, and they get exposed to the whole campus environment. I actually paid and sent my son there. He wants to go back next year. He loved it. So, but it's those.
I'm sorry, do they get to put their hand in the cow's stomach up there?
That one, I know they do the cow stomach thing. I don't know if it's part of Exploration Days, but I know it happens. So
I don't know if people know that, MSU,
Yeah.
I went there.
they got that
For
cow, yeah.
demonstration, they have a cow where you can, because of all the stomachs and the digestion and all of that kind of stuff, where you can put your hand right in there and see. That'd be a good learning experience for a lot of kids from the east side.
Okay.
Heck, yes.
So, that gives you an idea of, the breadth and depth of our programs. And I will say this, don't hesitate to take a look at our annual report, because that summarizes everything we do on an annual basis. Commissioner, all due respect, I could keep going, but I could be here all day going through these. What I'd like to do, if you don't mind, I'd like to just go to the table
Sure.
and just highlight some of those and talk about the differences. This is the comparison. This is 2017, 2018. This is the comparison that we will do every year for the county. And also, let me just say this, and this is something I think we need to get additional information from Carol and the county on about whether we're just going to do the comparisons or we'll still do this semi-annual report. I'm not sure. But the commission asked us to track programs by zip codes. We are able to do that now. We just got to figure out the proper system and how often we need to report to the county. We used to do it semi-annually based on the last agreement we had. We don't know if this will take the place of the semi-annual report. That's something we'll have to get clarification on with the administration. But what we can do, we can track those programs by zip codes, and we can provide them to you. And if you see gaps in programming in your specific districts, we can have conversations about how we can cover those gaps. And we haven't been able to do that in the past. Now, when we get really good at this, I'm hoping we can get to the point where we can map these programs on a map of the county. We haven't been able to get the GIS support from campus to make this happen, but that's what I'd like to get to. I'd like to show you a map every 6 months of the programs that we provide all over the county, what the program is and where it's located. But until I can get to that point, I will give you the zip codes, and you can look for your zip codes. And if you see those gaps, you can reach out to us, and I can have conversations with staff. Because it makes all the sense in the world to say, if we're really talking about a county-supported program, there is something in extension we can offer anywhere in the county. Because because of the depth and breadth of the programming that we provide. So even though some of our programs are income restrictive, a lot of them are not. Our Master Gardener program, let me just highlight that one. That is our most successful program in the county. We have more than 300 volunteers that do work in that area. And when we provide that number for the participant number that the Master Gardeners reach, that's a conservative number. That number is so big, we were so concerned about the duplicates that we had to make a modest correction on that number, and it was a conservative estimate. We want to get to that point where we can take the duplicates out so we can give you the real number. But that number is close to 30,000. And that's just the Master Gardener program.
Yeah.
We've been running 2 classes a year. I don't know if we'll be able to sustain that because of the staff. We got 1 staff person. But we've been running 2 classes a year. We offer that class all over the county. Dr. McCormick, we had one in your area. The class just ended, as a matter of fact, a few weeks ago. It is one of our most successful classes. Those volunteers do 40 hours a week. And if you've got specific projects, some of the commissioners have taken advantage of that group in terms of doing projects.
Yeah, they're committed to how
Yeah.
much work, community work, when they get their Master
Right.
Gardener certificate?
They have to do 40 hours of volunteer work.
In a,
That's what
in
they
a
have to do.
calendar year,
Yeah, but a lot of them go way over that.
right? Oh, yeah.
We had the award ceremony. We've given out awards for 600 hours, 700 hours, 1,000 hours. That's probably one of the most dedicated groups we have. And I'm hoping those numbers don't go down because of our new volunteer process that everybody will have to go through, even the Master Gardener participants, because they work on projects related to extension. So I'm hoping I don't lose some of those because we do have a lot of seniors in that population. And I'm hoping that the computer process stuff doesn't scare them off in terms of getting approved. But that is one of our most successful programs. They show up, they participate, and they're very active and committed about the things that they do. So the comment I just like to make when you look at the table, I do like this because this would also help us to look at, where we're going up, where we're going down. For all of our decreases, they've been a direct result of staff we've lost in those program areas. For some of those program areas like Product Center, we'll get that position back. The new person will start in January. But for some of our other positions, we lost the community development person. We don't know when that position will be filled. That's the person who does, they do zoning administration training, they do citizen planner, and we're actually in the process of setting up a class with the City of Detroit's Zoning Board of Appeals.
Did you lose the person in that job, or did you lose the funding for the job?
No, we lost the person.
Okay, so
We
it's
were-
in the budget, you can hire,
Exactly.
okay.
Right. We lost the person, but the good news about it is that because we work in teams, we're going to pull other people from other counties to provide that program into the Zoning Board of Appeals because James Ribron, the director of that program, wants all of his staff trained. And we cover all the different aspects of zoning and planning. It's a basic zoning planning 101 kind of class. So even when the position is vacant, we're able to still provide that program area.
I heard you say James Ribron. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
Anything else you have? I know, yeah, but I want to, was there anything else you intended on presenting?
Yeah, no, that's kind of the highlight. I do want to say this, though. We're in the process of working with the Soil Conservation District. We do see that as a new opportunity. We are hoping that over the course of this year, we can create opportunities that would make that organization more sustainable, as well as allow us to expand some of our program offerings. So we're excited about the potential for that one. We've been encouraged to look for opportunities to partner with groups that we haven't partnered with historically. And that's one of those groups. So we're excited about that because if this is successful, then we might be able to get additional funding to look at a position to help bridge the gap and do some things between the two organizations. So we're excited about that opportunity. And I do want to say thank you for the support that we get from the county. Because even though, we'll spend about $3 million in this county, we can't do that without that base funding and that base support in terms of administrative support, in terms of that operating budget that you guys provide for us to do what we do.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you. Richard, I just wanted to thank you for what you guys are doing. I had the benefit or the honor of being able to attend a couple of the annual Master Gardener program luncheons they do annually, I believe, and they hand out awards. And one of your Master Gardeners, I think she was the Master Gardener Award winner for not this year, but the previous year, Joanne Schwab. I know she constructed, and this was mentioned at her recognition, that she created a 3Bs garden in Westland, and I'd never heard what the 3Bs were, but it's birds, butterflies, and bees, and pollinators essentially that and the importance of it, and she recruited a group of volunteers to help her construct this huge garden in one of our parks, and the city provided the property there, the use of that property, and they have just an incredible number of plantings and things that attract bees, butterflies, and birds.
Right.
And it's really very cool. And but I also wanted to ask maybe if you could. I think the person that does that, arranges that, is she local? She's a local person that or is it directly through your office?
No, the person who runs our Master Gardener program, she is local.
Okay.
Deirdre Hope is the person.
Maybe they could let us know, because I think the way I learned about Joanne being recognized was through Brenda, and I still can't pronounce her last name, but it's a D and a lot of Z's in her last name. But anyway, if someone could let us know, commissioners, I'm sure others would like to know if someone in their district is being recognized. That would be great. But I wanted to ask about the zoning commissioner. Is that's a training program that you guys head up for zoning commissioners for communities?
It's a 6-week program. We cover everything, all the issues of zoning and planning. We'll hold a program for any population. James wanted it for the Zoning Board of Appeals. We get we get some commissioners that come to that program. We get more planning commissioners because it's specific to their program area that come. We've tried to have some of those classes down here. We haven't been as successful. The best ones we've had are the ones like what James is requesting. He's saying, look, we'd like to contract with you to provide this training to all of our staff. Those have been the most successful ones we've had in this area because I don't know if you're aware of this, but most of these small communities, they have planning consultants. And because they have planning consultants, they rely on them to deal with all the planning issues, all the land use issues, all the zoning issues. But in some of the smaller communities, they rely more heavily on their planning commission. So they have to be more knowledgeable. So we get that request in terms of professional development from different organizations, and we can provide that to different organizations. But it's 6 weeks.
So when you say it's 6 weeks, what is it, on the weekends, or is it doing?
It really depends on their population.
Okay,
We've generally done them like in the evenings, like we do our Master Gardener classes.
okay.
I don't know that we've done too many sessions on Saturdays because people don't like to do trainings on Saturdays for some reason. But, we generally do them in the evenings.
Okay.
They generally run about 3 hours per class.
And how much is the charge for that for local communities that might want to take advantage of it?
I haven't looked at, if you're trying to do a group rate, we'll negotiate a rate with you. If we just offer the class for the general public, it runs about $300 a person.
Okay. I think MML provides something like that too.
Yeah, they do basic planning and zoning as a part of their trainings, and they provide those. I think they try to do this as a part of the state meeting,
Right, okay.
so people won't have to come out. We actually run a Master Gardener, not a Master Gardener, but a citizen planner class as a part of the meeting every year.
Oh, okay.
When they have their annual meeting, we will run a class. So there will be individuals there that will spend their whole time at the 3-day conference taking the citizen planner class. It actually is cheaper when you take it that way. I think it's about $75. That's why people do it that way. So, but we can handle special requests.
Okay,
If a city has a population, say, look, we'd like people to go through the training, then we will work with them to set up the process, negotiate a cost for the program, and then provide it.
it's surprising that there's a lot of smaller cities and even mid-sized cities that ZBA, some of the people that are on ZBA have been there forever and probably don't get any educational support, or they haven't been provided that. And I think it, has a direct impact on some of the decisions that they make, certainly.
What we did in Macomb County, we actually negotiated a contract through the county because the county wanted the local municipalities to be trained. So they signed a contract with us to scholarship 7 to 8 positions every year. So we're mandated to have at least one class in Macomb County so we can accommodate those individuals. And what they do is they encourage the individuals in the county to come and participate in the class because they feel like same situation. They've had people who've been on those boards forever, but they've never had any formal training.
Right. I did have a question for Carol, but it's about something else totally. I don't know
Oh,
if you
okay.
want to.
Well, we'll handle that under other matters then,
Matters? Okay.
if that's okay, Commissioner.
All right, yeah.
Sounds like you're suggesting some good government there, Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you. So do you have and again, thank you for all that you do. I attended the Master Gardener's class and spoke and greeted the students. And this was a massive class. I think it was at least 100 people, it seemed to be.
It was a lot.
It's a lot. It was a lot. It was a huge class. Is there a list of all of the services and the cost? I think Commissioner asked about the cost. So do we have, do you have a list or can you give us one?
Right. Our annual report is the best list of all the programs that we provide on an annual basis. Now, let me just say this. We have a catalog. I don't really like to give it out because it's about 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
And some of those programs we just don't offer. So what we say is that if you really want to see the list of all the programs that we provide, it's in our annual report. That's everything that we do in the county.
It's in your,
Annual report.
okay.
Every single
So-
program, every single activity.
So what I'm looking for is just a list of programming coming up in the new year so that then we can say, oh, you know what? Let's get this out in the community. Like Deatra sent me the Master Gardener's flyer, and then I got that out in my district. So if I knew about these other classes, I might be able to promote them as well as all of the other commissioners. So if that's something you can do.
I can work with staff so when they plan the programs and they create the flyers and the advertisements, I can get them to all of the commissioners.
Great, that would be great.
You prefer that electronically, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
That would be great. And the money management and also, well, I know the Dining with Diabetes series. I would really be interested in helping to put something together, excuse me, in my district. So what does that look like if we wanted, and then you have the money management, financial literacy. Is that for adults or
Yes, it is.
children? Okay.
We do both. We have this thing called Mad City Money that we do with kids. And it's a lot of fun. We teach kids about how to manage money. We give them a budget. We give them a scenario and a series of situations. And it's funny to watch these kids work through the process that adults go through.
That's
We had this one
important.
kid. He wanted to buy a car, but he had a baby, and he wanted to give back the baby so he could buy a car. So it's teaching kids all those basics about the decisions that adults make in terms of money.
I know I wanted to do the same thing.
So, but what I can do,
Just kidding.
I can reach out to the educators that run the programs. They can contact your staff directly, and if you've got a location or if you've got a partner you want us to work with, we can work with that partner.
Okay.
Or if it's
great.
something you want to sponsor,
I do.
then if you help us identify a site in your district, we can offer those classes.
Okay. And then that goes back to the cost. So,
I think our diabetes classes are free now because I think we have some funds that will support that
excellent.
activity. The money management class, I can talk to our staff about that. Maybe we can offer that one free as well.
that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
You may have seen on Facebook recently the meme, Commissioner, where they say, my wife and I decided we don't want to have any kids. We're going to tell them at dinner tonight. Salsa is the #1 condiment in the country and has been for a little while. Now, I thought I saw you in my office 5 months ago. You brought your boss from
Yes.
Lansing with you,
Yes.
and I believe we distributed annual reports at that time, I think is what you left in my office.
I think we sent those out before. We try to get those out. We try
Oh,
to
when,
get,
when would the commissioners have gotten them?
they should have gotten them around May.
Yeah, okay, that's too long
It's been a
ago.
minute, but I've got some extras if you need a copy. I can
Yep.
send you some more.
Yeah. Anytime you drop by here, bring the annual report.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll bring some additional copies.
I also want to, because you mentioned earlier that this report is about a year behind schedule. You're not going to have this year's numbers until January or February of next year.
Yes.
And I think we should look at the budget instruction for that then, because I see that requests a December 1st date. And maybe you want to talk with our, Mr. Abbo here, our financial, that's where the budget instructions get written and put it into the budget, and maybe we should find a date, more like, whatever's best for you, the date it comes in, if it's February, if it's March, and then we can have more timely, up-to-date information. Do you do any of these programs in conjunction with the county? Like, do you supplement what the county does in any of their programs, or?
I know that we did some stuff around, Joan Schilling is the person we had in the position for dining with diabetes, and I know she collaborated with the county on some projects in like Highland Park and some other locations.
Yeah, because as budgets are stretched, the more partnerships we can do to get more services out there. Do you, I also want to mention, and I'll talk to you after the meeting, when it comes to financial literacy. You familiar with an individual by the name of Gail Perry Mason who does a ton of this around town?
No, I'm not.
I'm going to give you her phone number and when we leave here, and that might be a partner for you. She is on that. That is the core mission she has, among other ones. You doing the canning anymore?
That's more of a, by request. If we've got.
But you can?
Yeah, we can. We've got
Okay.
we've got a request, and then we have to identify the educator to provide it. The food safety person was also the person that used to do our canning. Her name
Yeah.
was Eileen Harmonack. She actually retired. So we're using Christine Venema.
Yeah, I just
from another
wanted to
county.
raise that for commissioners, because of course, we got community gardens all over the place these days. And, midsummer to have a workshop, how to can, lost art, starting to gain traction again, but a lost art. Make your garden go year-round. I think that's, I remember we had it over at Outer Drive and Van Dyke over there when I was representing that part of the district. And we had talked about it, and they got one going, and they said it was wildly successful, the people in the neighborhood coming out. So that's another, I think, very valuable one that you offer. I'm gonna hope that you're gonna make some trips around to commissioners in the spring to have robust discussions about your budgets or any change in the budget coming in our next fiscal year, to have people have a little better understanding of, where it needs a little help, because it has diminished a great deal, county support for this in the time I've been here. And you are mentioned in the charter of Wayne County. So I hope you're planning on having, come around to commissioners and having some robust discussions about your 2021 budget and what your needs are.
Well, what we try to do, Commissioner, we do try to work with the administration when it comes to the budget. When we meet with commissioners, we try to use that as an opportunity to talk about the programming and what we do, so they can see the value in the program and they can see the investment they make in terms of the investment the organization makes.
Well, I think you should, me personally, have those discussions with commissioners also.
Okay.
Because we're the ones that approve the budget. It's actually our budget.
Okay, Commissioner. I hear
It
you.
is.
I hear you.
It is. It is good to talk to administration and have those conversations as well. But they don't vote on the budget, we do. So I think the more education of what's needed out there from your point of view would be a good one.
Okay.
Any other comments? Commissioner Marecki?
Talking about the budget, are we, like, with the Port Authority, our budget funding for the Port Authority is dependent on what the state gives them? Is our budgeting tied into any numbers with the state or with federal, or do we just pick the number out of our hat?
In terms of extension?
Yeah,
Oh, in terms of extension, no, it's not connected to any other, it's not connected to
so
any
we
other funding.
just, the administration comes forward with a number and,
It says this is what we can afford, basically how it's happened in the past.
okay, thank you.
We have a receive and file item. What's the pleasure of the committee? That sounds good. Any other questions for Mr. Wooten? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much for being here. Good to see you. And I'll talk to you real quickly after the meeting. Madam Clerk, what is next?
Item D3 on the addenda, requesting commission approval of a retroactive modification to a 1-year comparable source contract with a 1-year option to renew with the Detroit Area Agency on Aging.
Okay, name and title for the record.
Joan Zavrakis, Division Director, Senior Services.
I'd like to put a little preface to this item. DAAA is not funded by the county, all right? We have the Senior Alliance downriver, but we had I can't remember the number now. We found about 4 million, what was the number, 5?
It was between 4 and 5, I believe.
Yeah, sitting in account, not doing anything 5, 6, 7 years ago, somewhere in that time frame. And one of the ways to spend that found money was to offer to DAAA a certain amount every year to feed for Meals on Wheels for vets. Is that correct?
That's correct,
Okay.
Commissioner.
How long can we sustain that funding to DAAA?
That would,
Because I think
Probably-
we've gone through the 4.5 to 5. I think we've gone through those dollars at this point.
to my recollection, we have.
Yeah,
and
because we
it's-
raised the burial.
Right. So my understanding is this is just general fund dollars that are allocated every year to DAAA to make sure that the veterans, the eligible veterans who receive home-delivered meals are not on a wait list.
Okay, and fiscal, is this coming out of general fund?
Yes.
And is it a part of your budget or just the,
It comes into our budget. It's almost like a pass-through,
yeah,
Commissioner. So
Okay.
it comes into ours to process the contract to forward it to DAAA.
okay. Questions on this item from commissioners? Pleasure of the committee, Lynn? Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Dobb.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I noticed this is for veterans in a certain area of Detroit, and now I've lost where it is. Sorry, I had it underlined. Detroit and Hamtramck and
Yeah,
Island Park, Harbor
page
Woods,
1 of
and
4
Gross.
under
Thank you.
fiscal, yeah.
Thank you. Is there a separate service for veterans only in other parts of the county?
So Senior Services, Wayne County Senior Services provides the nutrition program for the 34 communities outside the city of Detroit. We currently do not have a wait list, so all eligible clients,
Okay, so there's no need for a separate veterans
correct.
service
Yes.
for Meals on Wheels. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because that's the territory, you're looking at there, the territory of DAAA.
Right. Okay,
They have
thank
the
you.
city of
That's all I needed.
Detroit and then the orphan out east side suburban communities everybody always forgets about. Questions on the item before us, huh? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Wasteland's not part of the east side. Pleasure of the committee on this item then.
just had a quick.
Yeah, please, Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you. The veteran meals that we currently serve in 1819 is a lot less than it was in prior years. Is there a reason why? Do you know, or?
I requested the data from DAAA based on their actual numbers served. I'm not sure if perhaps there's a gap in some reporting. I could check and find out, but these are the
If you can, that
numbers.
would be interesting to know.
So you're
why.
mentioning from 1718,
Yeah.
the 17,227 and the 16,326?
And then the veterans,
Number of veterans themselves.
right.
Right. I did the math on the number of veterans. If you take, they get reimbursed $5.85 per meal. So if you took the 60, they anticipate serving about 68 veterans this year. So if you took 68 veterans times 585, and then take that number times, there's roughly 250 serving days in a year, you're going to come up with spending $99,450, which is basically the $100,000. So that 60 for 1819 and anticipated 1920 may actually be a more accurate number,
Okay.
just based on the basic math.
Right, and again, I'm just looking at the number of veterans
Correct.
served.
And that,
So,
yeah.
And
That
I was just
actually-
wondering why
Are you seeing,
the decrease, that's, oh, maybe she's not
This
looking
one,
at
right.
what I'm, right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the same data
okay.
that I obtained and provided. Let's see.
Yeah, it went from 196
That's exactly, yes, that's.
down to 60, yeah.
Thank you.
At least here.
And I'm presuming, which I have no data in front of me to support it, but that 60 and 68 number is probably a more accurate number.
When you say 68, I guess
The-
I'm lost.
The answer to one of the questions submitted by the commission fiscal staff was how many veteran meals and veterans are anticipated in fiscal year 2020?
I don't have that, no.
Okay. So that was one of the questions, and they anticipate for this year 68 veterans, approximately 17,340 meals. There's also, it's kind of a crazy data. You have clients and then you have unduplicated clients. So you could have a client that you serve for 3 months, and then another client comes on for the next 3 months, and another client comes on. That's your unduplicated count. So it appears as though you served a lot more people, but you're still going to serve the same amount of meals, if that makes any sense. So that could be why they may not have factored into the unduplicated count, that 60 number.
And to your point,
Commissioner,
'cause-
Marecki.
because the information we have, like 16, 17, there were 196.
Mm-hmm.
Then it went to 149, then it went to 60. So you're saying that could have been the duplication?
It could have been.
Okay.
Okay, but we're not sure.
We're not
So,
sure.
Okay, yeah, so.
And
if you
they've
could
had
just
some staffing
clarify.
changes there,
Yeah,
so they may not be gathering or pulling the right data
Okay.
to get the information.
Or maybe the outreach to veterans is not as it used to be. I don't know.
Yeah, it's,
Okay,
I'd
all
have to
right.
see.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But we don't audit the numbers. We're giving them money for a specific purpose, but we don't audit the numbers we get back? To make sure they're being spent the way we allocated the money for.
I don't have,
That's not part of the contract or
No,
anything with them?
no.
Because I think, Commissioner Baker McCormick, the answer to your question, we can either have someone from DAAA come here to talk to us about it, or a direct conversation with them, because we've got 2 senior agencies in the county, and for the most part, we only deal with 1. But that's a possibility of what we can do too for follow-up, is have DAAA drop by here
Okay,
and talk about it.
thank you.
Questions on this item?
Move approval.
There you go. one more pause for any questions. Hearing none, all in favor of item D3, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? All righty, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, what's next?
E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could, Carol, if I could ask you a quick question. Is it possible for you to provide us a report on the number of contacts with businesses regarding the, let's call it the deaf-friendly program?
I can see, I don't know how, I'm going to be very honest, I'll have to find out from the environmental health program managers. I honestly don't know if they, if like each environmentalist kept track of how many, but let me see what I can find.
Okay, I mean, even if it's by the
Sure.
second meeting of next month.
Yep.
It'd be great. All right, thank you.
All righty. Any other some such matters? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
F, public comments.
Any member of the public wish to address the Health and Human Services Committee? Any member of the public? Going, any member? Gone. Madam Clerk, what's next?
Adjournment.
Without objection, we stand adjourned. We ain't even going to take a vote on that. Well, it's allowed in Robert's rules. That's right. The awesome power of the chair.
Good to see you.